In a previous video, we talked about the data lakehouse concept and shared a story about how data lakehouses are much like the operations of a commercial kitchen in a restaurant. So definitely check out that video if you haven't seen it. Today, I'd like to discuss more about the key drivers for and values delivered by an open data lakehouse architecture, as well as share a couple examples. And to help me do that, I'm very excited to invite Edward Calvespert, Director of Product Management for IBM Databases, to join us. Edward, thanks for being here.
Hey, love.
So, Edward, let's start with the major macro trends that we're seeing and that are leading organizations to modernize their analytics infrastructures. How has the use of data shifted drastically in the past couple of years?
Well, love, there are three major macro trends that we're seeing in the market. First, the amount and the cost of data is exploding. Second, data consumption patterns are expanding and changing. And third, data architecture is being disrupted and transformed.
So could you speak briefly about each of these?
Sure thing. So there's no doubt that the amount of data is expanding rapidly, but also it's coming from a variety of different sources and in all sorts of new data formats. What this means is that to manage all of this data, enterprises are spending more money, and some estimate that that is in the range of 30% year over year.
Okay, so when you talk about the cost of data, are you just referring to the cost of storing it in different repositories like data lakes, warehouses, or other stores? Or are you also referring to the cost of managing and governing the lifecycle of that data?
Well, it's actually both. Let's talk about the patterns of data consumption. There's an ever-increasing demand for the use of data, especially from business users. There's no doubt that analytics has become an essential component of almost every job, and certainly AI, the use of AI, is expanding rapidly. Now, this doesn't mean that every business user needs to become an AI expert, but it does mean that more and more we're seeing AI being used to automate and optimize certain decisions at scale, such as advertising campaigns or supply chain networks. AI is also being used to augment human-in-the-loop decision-making, such as credit risk underwriting. This means that enterprises are always looking for more data and use it to drive new insights.
Right, and you know, what about the data privacy and data regulatory concerns that are around AI?
Sure. When you combine this with increasing regulatory standards, enterprises will require higher levels of built-in data security and governance in order to enable this data sharing and consumption.
Absolutely. And you know, another thing that we hear a lot is the democratization of data. So it's about time to value, right? Business users, yes, they need data, but they need it like yesterday, right? It doesn't do the user or the organization a lot of benefit if it takes long, complicated processes for users to get access to that data. So to get the most value out of the data, it's got to be consumed as quickly as possible. All while still adhering to those governance and compliance policies. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. That leads us to our third point, which is architecture. Organizations are realizing that the way that data is managed needs to change. The emergence of commodity cloud object storage and the adoption of open data formats is really allowing enterprises to increase the return on investment in data management. And they're doing this through the optimization of the price performance of their workloads across different storage and compute tiers. Now, what does that mean? It means that organizations can benefit from having the right tool for the right job at the right cost instead of defaulting into a data warehouse, which may be appropriate in some cases, but can also become very expensive and ineffective in others.
Right. So what I'm hearing is more data, more users, and more uses of that data, right? And all while still better ways to share and manage access around it, right? So Edward, how are these aspects related to the key values that are delivered by an open data lakehouse architecture?
Great question, Love. We see three key values that are delivered by an open data lakehouse architecture. First, an open data lakehouse provides the foundation for users to easily and cost-effectively access, store, manage, and unify large amounts of data and from different sources and in different formats. Second, an open data lakehouse can be easy to deploy within existing environments, providing users fast access to more data without having long procurement, onboarding, or data pipelining and wrangling processes, making it much easier to consume. And third, open data lakehouses can optimize your analytics workloads to run where they perform the best and are most cost efficient, all as part of an integrated architecture.
Wow, so, I've noticed one thing. You've said the word open a lot. Can you explain to us what the difference is there?
Sure, I'm glad you brought that up. A lakehouse should leverage the capabilities across existing data and analytics environments. If you already have data and analytics workloads in a data warehouse or in a Hadoop data lake, that's okay. You shouldn't be forced to migrate or rip and replace that environment in order to get started with the lakehouse.
But what about new data and new workloads?
Well, a lakehouse should be the starting point for new data and new workloads, as well as provide a modernization path for existing environments over time.
The other thing that we hear often is customers getting stuck with one vendor.
Well, open also means that you're always in control of your data and you aren't forced into proprietary data formats or specialized tooling in order to use it. It also means that you can maximize the use of your data without having to make copies of it and move it around. And this provides for lower costs, higher productivity, and better governance, which ultimately leads to what enterprises are looking for, which is more trusted decisions.
Wow. So, Edward, what I'm hearing is a data lakehouse is like a network of highways. Some of them have tolls on them, and some of them don't, like regular freeways. And a lakehouse allows you to go on the toll road, pay when you need to get somewhere really fast, but when you're not in a hurry and there's no traffic, take the regular highway.
Love, that's a great analogy. Think about using a data lakehouse to cut your data warehousing costs by up to half by optimizing the price performance of your analytic workloads. Or like you're saying, saving money by driving on the freeway while there's no traffic and you're not in a hurry.
Wow, Edward, that sounds really exciting. Let's hit the road.
Let's do it.
Thank you. If you like this video and want to see more like it, please like and subscribe. If you have questions, please drop them in the comments below.